bring you my June wrap-up and July TBR. I'm sorry it's a bit delayed. I've been comatose and on crutches after my surgery, which is why it's been quite a bit since I have posted a video, since I've had to have my knee elevated the entire time. And the first week, just from having to be healing so much and also from the pain meds, I was basically sleeping through the entire week. I couldn't get off the sofa. It was awful. So I'm filming this just after. I noticed that the video was really long, and I know I'm going to edit it some, but I think I'm going to be dividing this into June wrap-up, July TBR separately. I know I just said that it will be in the same video, but you guys will be seeing the July TBR very shortly after, for the sake of this video not being over 20 minutes long, because that would be ridiculous. So this month, basically, so for the June TBR part, let's get started. So June was basically engineered to be a bad reading month, because at the beginning of the month I had the whole exams, then senior week, and packing up everything and moving completely out of my apartment, including moving all of the furniture out, trying to figure out people to buy my furniture, and then also graduation, which was a huge deal, and then my family was there in Chicago, so after graduation we spent another day or so there doing stuff in Chicago with my grandparents and my family, and so it was very busy. And then the day after that, my dad and I road tripped it to all the way home, so there was a lot of driving going on. Although, on that trip, we did start reading back and forth to each other when we weren't driving. The person who wasn't driving was reading it. A book that I have read part of it before and is amazing. It's probably one of my most influential books ever to me, and I really enjoyed this book, although I haven't read the whole thing yet. I think I read 70 or 80 pages the first time I read it, but then I got really busy and I wasn't able to finish it, but I was very inspired by what I had read. But anyway, I wanted to start it from the beginning again and reread it. This is Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. Daring Greatly, How the Courage to be Vulnerable Transforms the Way We Live, Love, Parent, and Lead. This is an amazing book. It is really inspirational. It is incredible, and it really helped me, especially last summer when I got it, when I started reading it the first time, because I was having a rough time with various things, and this is just a really great book. It talks about the power of vulnerability and how important it is, and there's a misconception among our society that vulnerability is the same as weakness, but really vulnerability is strength. If you think about it, it's courage. Vulnerability is the same thing as courage. And she also talks about how you don't need to be perfect and bulletproof before you go do something. You know, you have to accept yourself for how you are. And I'm really a perfectionist, and this really helped me get over a lot of things. And this is an incredible book, and I will be finishing reading it soon. So I started reading this with my dad in the car. We got up to about page 50, reading it back and forth to each other when the other one was driving. It's really good. My dad was really enjoying it as well, so I need to finish that later this month, but I just got busy when I got home because, well, I was kind of comatose, so yeah, I've not been reading it, but yeah, so I really want to keep reading this and not get stuck reading about the same amount this time that I read last time, because it's incredible. It's one of my most influential books. I need to finish it, because that's crazy that I haven't finished it. Absolutely crazy. Anyway, so that book my dad and I read back and forth to each other in the car. I didn't read any books during my exams and senior week. I know I had a Friday Reads video in there around the time of senior week when everything was crazy, saying I was really excited because I was going to start The Fault in Our Stars. It didn't happen, guys. I just got so busy right immediately after that, and I also, Quiet, which is another book that I really enjoyed. It's also one of my most influential books, and I also got to page 70 like twice and just got busy and wasn't able to finish it. That one I also had on the Friday Reads video. I didn't get a chance to read either of those. I was just absolutely way too busy. This month has been horrible for reading, because as soon as I got home from graduation after that long car trip, I cleaned my room, and that was a big ordeal, and then I had to get all my stuff that I was moving back in here with me, and then I basically had about 5 days after that, which I did a little bit of reading during that time, but not much. And basically, after that, I had surgery. So I had knee surgery I've had this injury for about 2.5 years that has prevented me from, well, I'm a dancer and it's prevented me from dancing of any sort, including most of my student organizations. It's prevented me from running, jumping, hopping, doing anything I want to do, backpacking, which is another one of my biggest interests, and it's just really been debilitating and frustrating and horribly frustrating. And so I really just, like, we've tried everything else, physical therapy, cortisone shots in my knee, and nothing has fixed it. So I was getting surgery. He did a scope to look inside and see what was wrong. He did a plica excision and a lateral release, and so I also had some complications from the surgery. They weren't like horrible complications, but just like not everyone deals with this. A couple people do. Of course, I'm the one that had to deal with it. So I have a ton of swelling in my knee, absolutely horrible swelling. It's ginormous, and really right now I have it down too much. I normally cannot have it down for more than 20 or 30 minutes. That means like sitting included. I have to have it elevated above the level of my heart, otherwise it just swells way too much. So anyway, the book that I started in the 5 days before my surgery is Ovid's Fasti. This book is really good. I'm really enjoying it. I read about the first 60 pages. Not all of those I read in June. Some of them I've read in July so far. But yeah, it's really good. It's a poetic calendar of the Roman year. If you guys don't know, I'm really interested in Roman history. This fall I studied abroad in Rome. I love Roman history, and I've also read Ovid's Metamorphoses, which is one of my favorite books. And I love mythology as well. This is a poetic calendar of the Roman year. It talks about different traditions and customs associated with different days and different myths associated with different days, and Ovid's writing is beautiful. This particular edition is not translated in Elegiac couplets, which is what he originally wrote it in, but it's translated in just kind of verse. It's very poetic still, but the translators said they sacrificed the rhythm to get a more exact translation, and I'm really enjoying it. There's some really beautiful parts. I'll definitely be doing a book review on this in the next couple of weeks once I finish it. The last book I read in June, so I had the surgery. I was comatose for a couple days, just like, not comatose actually, but basically I had, from the day of my surgery, anesthesia and morphine, so I was just like out that whole day, plus healing. Healing takes an enormous amount out of you, so I was sleeping a ton, and then I started reading The Girl of Fire and Thorns. And I should also mention to you guys that I'm currently trying to get out of an enormous reading slump. I think just from not being able to read with exams and stuff, and then I got home and there were all these books here, and I don't know, for some reason I'm just kind of in a reading slump. Maybe I'm also having withdrawal from my university because the first thing I picked up is Ovid. I don't know, but yeah, so I have The Girl of Fire and Thorns. I really enjoyed this, but I mean, I was also in an enormous reading slump when I read it, and in addition to being in a reading slump, I was under the influence of narcotics and struggling to stay awake with an absolutely horrible painful knee, stuck on the sofa, and actually because the pain medicine was making me sleep so much, that's one of my triggers for migraines. So because I was sleeping for way too long, then I got a migraine. So I was stuck on the sofa, I couldn't get up, I had a migraine, meanwhile my knee was killing me, and I was sleepy from being on pain medicine, and there was all this other stuff. It was absolutely horrible. So that's what was going on when I was reading this, and it was really good, but I was just like kind of struggling to stay awake. I would have been struggling to stay awake if I was reading my favorite book in the entire universe because of the narcotics. So anyway, this book was really interesting and really good. I really enjoyed it, and I've heard the second book's even better. I kind of wasn't like right in the mood to read the second and third books of the trilogy when I finished it because I was still just kind of, I don't know, maybe because I read it when I was like in that horrible situation that I didn't feel like moving on right then, right after that, to the next ones, because I had this like new mindset, you know, getting off the sofa and living life. So I didn't continue on with the second and third one, but I'm planning on reading them later this month because it was very good. I really enjoyed this, and there's a great development throughout the book of her character. It shows a great arc of like her growing into like this really strong person, and I really enjoyed it. Although I was in an enormous reading slump when I read it, and also struggling to stay awake and in a lot of pain, and kind of just yeah, bad stuff. So I think those situations which had nothing to do with the book took away from it a little bit for me, just because of the situation unavoidably. But anyway, I did enjoy it, and I'm really looking forward to reading the second and third book, which I've heard are even better. Those are all the books I read in June, so really it's just Daring Greatly I read in the car, Ovid I read some of it in between getting home and surgery. The Girl of Fire and Thorns I read when I was in a really sucky situation on the sofa, and then Ovid I was also reading some then. So these are really all I read in June. It was a horrible reading month. But July, I'm starting to feel better now, and I have a feeling that the books I'm planning to read next are going to pull me right out of my reading slump. I'm going to be dividing this into June wrap-up, July TBR separately. You guys will be seeing the July TBR very shortly after, for the sake of this video not being over 20 minutes long, because that would be ridiculous. Okay, so I'll see you guys.